Hi everyone, I'm Sarah at Childhood Finds if you've never joined me here before, and today we're going to be doing a video that I think really plays into what my YouTube name is. And I have plans for more videos like this, but today we're going to be diving into the world of Polly Pocket. So there are so many different things that we could look at that are Polly Pocket that I can't possibly show you everything, and so I'm just going to give you a very condensed version. Just know that there are a lot of collectors out there for it because it brings so much nostalgia, and it's spanned a couple different childhood generations. So it started in 1989 and they rebooted it again in 2018 with many different iterations of it within that. So it spanned a lot of time and it's a delightful toy. Your collector ones are definitely going to be in the Bluebird toys ones that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history, show you a bunch of values, and I just hope you have a lot of fun with it. And do please in the comment section write down if you were a Polly Pocket lover or if you were a collector of them, and what your favorite one was if you were, and what generation you were, which ones that you were played with. And I'm going to try to show you some modern ones as well, but do know there's just not as much at value as in the modern ones. And by modern, I mean less than 20 years old as opposed to the Bluebird toys. But I want to show you a couple so you can really get the idea of size. These are all I have left. I did a Polly Pocket buy. That is what spawned this video. And this is all I have left right now. So I have this little jeweled one, super petite and adorable. And they just open up. Sometimes my fat fingers don't help, but little mushroom opens, guys, and there's a jewel in it. And it's complete. It's got my little Polly, and it's got a tiny little squirrel because I need that. And this is just one. I have another one that's a bit larger. I'm gonna throw it. And this one actually lights up. I'm not gonna show you that right here, but this one actually does light up as well. It has a battery compartment over here. But this has so many different fun things. We open up into, this is Starlight Castle. This one I actually have is not complete. It's one of the very few ones that I had that wasn't complete in my buy, which was amazing. But it's close to complete. It's missing one piece, I believe. But it's in great condition. And then we have one more. So as they went a little later on, I believe this is later, as they started to expand the brand, they did start to give more of shapes. So they were really these compacts is how they started. And then we started to have these, and they had houses, and I'll show you, I think, a pizzeria. But you can see it's the same idea. It opens up just like the other ones into a little tree house. It's adorable. But this is general size, guys, when they first started. These are what the Bluebird ones looked like. And then let me give you a little bit of history. So Chris Wiggs first designed Polly Pockets. He started in the early 80s. He actually designed it for his daughter out of, I believe, a makeup compact. And he then took it and Bluebird Toys licensed it. And the toys hit the stores in 1989. And it continued on, and then they had a distribution deal with Mattel so we could get all those toys out in the US. And then eventually, as time went on, they started to experience a lull in sales, so Mattel actually bought out Bluebird Toys in '98, and then they kind of redesigned. So they did a little bit of redesigning before the buyout, trying to kind of bring back the brand, I believe. And then after that, they took it and they really did kind of change the face of Polly Pocket. And they made it kind of a fashion Polly with clothing, different things like that. It's the signature little rubber clothes. I don't like them. I love the little Polly Pockets, but everybody has their own preference. And they made it like a 3+ inch doll instead of our little 1-inch Polly Pocket. And then they, after introducing that, then they tried this one little period of time where they tried to do magnets in the clothing, and then magnets kept falling out, and that's a choking hazard, and that was not good. So they recalled that. So I'm not going to be showing any of those to you for solds or any values because legally you can't sell them because they're recalled, so I am not going to encourage that, because you could, if you're a seller, you could hurt your account. But if you're a collector, you probably want them to have in your collection, just because it's a piece of the history, it's a piece of the Polly Pocket history. And then let's see, so by 2012 is when distribution just stopped in the United States. Polly Pocket just kind of wasn't bringing in the money, so they stopped it in 2012 and then let some years go by. They were smart, and then in 2018 they brought Polly Pocket back again. And then actually Hot Topic and Unique Vintage, they helped with this, and they released like bags and different things to go along with Polly Pocket, makeup, clothing. So some of the modern stuff is worth good money as well, those exclusives. And so that's kind of just a very, very, very brief history of Polly Pocket, because we still have a ton to go through. So we're gonna go ahead and switch screens, and I'm gonna start showing you some, and hopefully you can find some cool stuff here. We are going to start here with, this is one that I actually sold for this $45. And so know that there are some compacts that complete, they sell for 30 to 50, and there's some that sell for hundreds. So, I mean, you can make quite a bit of money if you still have a collection, or if you find a collection. I've sold some for good money. I don't have any of the super rare. I didn't have any of the super rare ones, but I definitely made good money off of these Polly Pockets, and the figures are really where value lies, because they're an inch tall. They're super easy to lose. I'll show you that you can just sell figures as well. I have personally just sold some figures, and they don't bring a ton of money all the time, but I mean, it's like this big, and you can sell it for something. It's worth it. So this first one is a complete 1989 Polly Pocket Midge's Play School set with Midge, baby, and car. And that's all it is. Just, it sold for $45. It's the first year release, and you can tell that, I mean, it's a great design. They put a lot of work into these, and you'll kind of see as we go through them how the compacts changed over time, which is interesting to see. And again, I can't show you everything. There are hundreds of Polly Pocket items, and I am just showing you, like, I don't know, 25. So there are so many. I could do a 4-hour video on this, probably just showing you different Polly Pocket items that are collectible and worth good money. But I'm just giving you a smattering, and I am showing you a fair amount of mine just because I can tell you for sure this is what they sold for. This is a fair price for them, and nearly all of mine were complete except one I showed you in the intro. And then this one here, we went into 1990. So this is a vintage 1990 Bluebird Polly Pocket Polly School Compact, and it is also complete. It just has the 2 little figures, and I am going to show you in a minute how I found out if they were complete. And this one did sell for the $35, so I am not rich off this one, but it was still a good sale because that's big. It's like, that's big. And they were so fun. I had so much fun with my Polly Pocket buy. I would 1000% do that again. Any of you don't want to deal with a bunch of Polly Pockets, you just let me know. I got you. I'll do it. They are fun. And this next one, this is another one that I sold. And this is a Bluebird Polly Pocket 1995 Sparkling Mermaid Adventure book, and it is complete, and it does light up. And I just want to show you there it is, lit up. I did include that in my thing. I don't know if I said, I sold it for 130. I don't know if I said that. But it had all its little pieces, so just make sure to show all of that if you are going to sell them. But if you're just a collector, just enjoy it. I mean, this was such a fun find. And then I'm going to show you, so I personally use this website. It's called onlypollypocket.com. I use this with a combination of eBay. So a lot of times you can go on eBay and look, and when people are saying complete, you can get an idea of what's included in the compacts, because luckily mine were pretty sorted out, but I had a few dolls that were just didn't belong anywhere, and I didn't know where they went, and I found that they did have homes with the compacts I had. And so I used this website, and then I also used eBay. And there's also YouTube video guys. There are specific YouTube videos on some of the compacts that I found. The Sparkling Mermaid Adventure, I 100% found a YouTube video, and it showed each little piece so that I could make sure that when I said it was complete, it was complete, because I don't always trust if there is an eBay listing that says complete. I just want to make sure I'm giving the best to the buyer if I'm going to sell them. And so all I did was I went onto this site. It has all the different years, so you can just look on the bottom of your Polly Pocket. Let's see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it says Bluebird. I don't think you're gonna really be able to see it, but it says Bluebird on the back with a year, with all mine that it did. And you just find the year. So this one I went and found 1995 for the last one I just showed you, the Sparkling Mermaid Adventure. And I just clicked that one. There's ads. It's not a great website, but it helped. And here it shows you what it is. So it's purple cover, pink pages, gold clasp. So it tells you what the size should be, tells you what's in the interior, tells you what it includes, and then it shows you what it should have to be complete. So it came with these 3 dolls and these 5 pieces. And that is really what helped me find what I needed to make sure. And it also let me know about when the storybook is open, the interior lights up. So I knew that this was going to be able to light up, because at first, I looked at this one and I had no idea that this Sparkling Mermaid Adventure lit up. And it's actually really hard to get the battery cover up. I had to look up a video on that too. And so I had to look up how to get this battery cover up. And then, but I didn't know starting that this lit up at all. So that's a good resource if you need it. Now we're gonna look at some more high value ones. This is Polly Pocket Vintage Bluebird 1995 Children's Hospital. And this one sold for $303.99, and they do typically sell for this. I saw many in this area and some much more. I like to show you used ones, but I have used and new, so you get an idea. Of course, if you find new of this stuff, it's gonna be worth more. But I wanted to give you a plethora of different used and new. So it'll vary. But I saw this one new selling for much more. And then we can go to our next one. This is 1992 Polly Pocket Bluebird Party Time Stamper. So this one is actually a listing because there are no current in the last 90 days solds. So I'm trying to show you solds within the last 3 months, as long as the values are typical to what you would find. Always do your own research though, guys. This isn't going to be the end all be all of value. This is just to show you these are definitely worth some money and very collectible. This one, let me show you the inside of this one. Just so it just had those 2 little dolls. This one is not complete though. And then there's some other little pieces. So they show pictures of everything. This is one of the most desirable ones. And this one is they're asking $800 for this. Excuse me. But remember, it's not complete. Let me show you this next screen. This is on Terapeak on eBay within the last 2 years of sold. And you can see that we have some, like this complete one here, sold for $700. This one that was complete sold for $800. So they will likely get kind of close to that price, but they might not quite get $800 because that's what the complete ones tend to go for. But supply and demand, there isn't another one available, so keep that in mind sometimes when you're pricing too, that, you know, when it's a very desirable item, they might still pay up more if there's none others available, especially during this time, this Christmas season. But $800 is kind of what they're going for, complete. And then we have another one that quite a high value one. This sold for $300. Oh wait, no, not that one. Yeah, this one sold for $395 on a best offer. And it's Polly Pocket Pattern and Picture Maker. And this one regularly goes for about this price. This one's really interesting. So you can tell as they went later on, they started to get a little more creative. There are so many that I don't even have here that I want to tell you about. There's one that's a pencil case. I mean, there's so many different ones that are collectible that I can't even begin to scratch the surface of Polly Pocket. But this one is adorable. And it, you know, even if they have playware, just be honest about that, and they still sell for great money. So this one, $395. This is one I sold. It is a vintage Polly Pocket 1994 birthday surprise cake playset, and it is missing 2 little pieces. This one I took a best offer of $130, but you can tell this had a ton of little tiny pieces, and I showed it right there what 2 were missing, but everything else was included. I again used that website along with eBay to find what I was looking for. And this one, when I was researching what to price it at, I went into Terapeak because the last 90 days, this one doesn't come up very often with so many pieces. It usually comes up with like a couple presents, a couple tiny little things, maybe a figure, and that's just because there's so many little pieces to lose. So the person I got these from took amazing care of their toys. And this one, yeah, sold for $130. I believe there's a variation of this cake that sells even higher. So there are variations of some of these Polly Pockets that also sell for amazing money. Guys, there's so much, so much. This is already a long video and I'm not even close to being done. Next, we have this one where we could again see different shapes and sizes of Polly Pocket. This is a vintage Bluebird Mattel Polly Pocket pull-out playhouse from 1991. It is complete. It is crazy. It was a really cool one. And this one is larger. I have a photo that'll kind of compare it on size so you can see that it is quite large compared to the other Polly Pocket play sets. And this one I did $57 for it, and that was a very fair price for it. And it did have the little mirror here. So cute, guys. And then as they started to continue Polly Pocket, we started to have houses and different shapes of our compacts again. 1993 Polly Pocket Bluebird Light Up Pizzeria Pizza Shop. And it did have 4 figures. And let me see. I know I have a picture of it lit up somewhere. There we go. So there's lights in it to show that it was working. But this did sell for $50. I was contacted by a mom that wanted to buy this for her daughter because her daughter had this when she was young. So the nostalgia is real, guys. People love to have this stuff from their childhood because it means a lot to us. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of really Polly Pockets, but you know, I had Furbies and I loved Furbies and I had other different toys. So they hit your heartstrings and it's fun to have them when you're older. And then here is what a lot of people do when they sell their Polly Pockets is they do lots of them. So this is a large lot of vintage rare Polly Pocket dolls and accessories, 100% Bluebird from 1989 to 1995, because remember, Bluebird ceased to exist or was purchased in 1998 by Mattel. And there is just a variety of them, ones I don't even recognize, and all the little dolls. The watch is valuable. And it sold for $500. But there are tons of lots like this. I like parting them out because they're fun. But this is another great way to sell them because there's not really that much, even in a big lot. But you can see here that pull-out playhouse, how much bigger it is than the other little compacts. Now we're gonna go into some stuff that's Polly Pocket, but not just the compacts. So we're moving forward, guys, so more things to look out for and collect if you collect them. We have the lot of 3 Polly Pocket Mattel Barbie Friend dolls, Stacy, Janet, and Whitney from 1994. So this sold for $90 for 3 of them, and it does say in the description that they boxes aren't in great condition. So, you know, 30 bucks a piece, and if they were in great condition, probably more. But you know, even if you're a collector, you're probably going to see things that you haven't seen before at Polly Pocket that you can add to your list to get. And if you're a seller, things to look for. And then here's just another one. This is the Barbie one. the vintage 1994 Polly Pocket Barbie doll. And they do come with a little like a little tiny doll, I think. Yeah, pretty sure they came with a little Polly. I'm not sure completely, but either way, this one sold for the $69, but it does have free shipping, so keep that in mind. That's a little bit of money off the top, but probably about 60 bucks for this one. And it's not in perfect condition either. So Barbie has definitely got some value that partnered with Polly Pocket. Then we have other different things. We have this Polly Pocket pop-up bow lipstick. And this one, best offer of $350. Just this. And again, this is new, but even if it wasn't new, it'd sell for a bunch of money because it's not common. I did not see very many of these. This thing is definitely not coming to market a lot. But that's all it is. They're just little petite, it's just a little lipstick with a little Polly here. And that is now selling for $350 if you had that from your childhood. New condition. And then we have the watch. We saw the watch earlier in that big lot. This one sold for $75. So just that one piece sold for $75. And let me show you the opening. There it is. And there's your little Polly. And oh gosh, it looks like a tiny little bear. Oh, it's so cute. And then here is a watch in new condition. This is a Polly Pocket watch by Bluebird Toys. This sold on auction for $275. And then again, up close, it's just, this one's just one little doll. That's crazy. These amaze me. I've never seen a lot of these, but I want them now. I loved this. Toys are fun, guys. Next, we have a ring lot. This is a Polly Pocket Vintage Bluebird 1989 and 1993 ring lot. And these are fun. They are so bulky though. So as a kid, I just imagined this huge thing on your right, but we were kids, we didn't care. And this is 4 of them, and it did sell for the $188.50. I've seen new ones sell for much more, you know, $100 to $200 a piece. But I mean, even in this used form, that's a great value. Now we're going into the Disney world. So partnering, you know, licensing to Disney, these are valuable. You see a Disney one, you should grab it. Not all of them hold like a ton of value, but if you see a little Disney compact, you need to grab it. It's, these, I'm just showing you a couple of them, but there are quite a few different ones. And there's like Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think there is an Aristocrats. There's a bunch of different ones. I don't think I'm showing a Beauty and the Beast, but there's a Beauty and the Beast. I've sold a little Aladdin one. So there's a lot of them. But this is a Polly Pocket Ariel, the Little Mermaid compact with figures playset. And this sold for $80. But don't worry, it's getting more valuable. Let's look at some others. This is a 1996 Polly Pocket Bluebird Sleeping Beauty Disney, complete all original. And there it is, and it does have the little figures we can see down here. I'm sure they do a close-up of the figures, or not, kind of close-up. So, had the 2 little figures, and it did sell for the $120. And then this one appears to be the most valuable that I found of the Disney. And it's Bluebird Polly Pocket Alice in Wonderland. And it's from 1996, and I just want to show you it up. This picture, I can't do any more than this picture because they're the listings are too old, but there are the 4 figures and the playset, and they're ranging in the 600, 500 range plus. So that one, Alice in Wonderland, is definitely one of the most valuable of the Disney version. Next, we're just looking at some clothing. This is just a vintage Polly Pocket Bluebird t-shirt from 1996. It's a girl's size 10, and it sold for $50. And there was positive feedback on this, but just a child shirt for 50 bucks. I don't have an example, but I saw shoes sell for 200 plus. So the Polly Pocket branded stuff, definitely, that's not just the compacts. Here's another one, a Polly Pocket 1995 bag and purse. And this one sold for the $280.99 and also got positive feedback. It is adorable. It's very cute. But just this little bag, this tiny little bag, sold for that much. And then now we're going a little into the newer generation. So actually, I think we might have skipped one. Yeah, I'm moving this. We're not doing that yet. Okay, and here's an example of one selling. So this is one of the little swans. Sorry, I'm a small little screen, but here it is. Here's the little swan that you can barely see on my screen. This little swan, someone sold it for $20. And that is with free shipping, but it's a few bucks to ship it. So just that little figure sold for good money. And I've had people contact me just to buy the figures out of this compact. So little tiny figures to sell. So if you don't have a home for some of them, you can still sell them. I sold just some of the little dolls for certain compacts for 10 plus. And Google Lens is very valuable in finding which set it goes to. That helped me a lot. Because it's hard to be like, you know, little figure with blonde hair. That makes it hard to narrow it down. But Google Lens helped me a lot in figuring out, because I had 3 or 4 pieces that just had no home. And I just sold them separately. Okay, and then here is another, this is like the boy answer to Polly Pockets. And I just wanted to share this because I think they're super cool. This is a Mighty Max Doom Zone Complete Lot Series 1. Skull, Spider, Dragon, Snake, Wolf, Ice. And it's just, look how, these are so cool, guys. And it shows a close-up of each of them and how they look. Like, the seller did great on doing lots of photos for them. But this is them all close up. They are the boys version. And I know that they showed, yeah, and here's the little figures. Oh, that's nice and blurry. But all the little figures, so fun. But this one sold for $350 this lot. And then I'm going to show you one other that just a single one sold. So this is the Mighty Max Palace of Poison Snake Temple. And this is from 1992. And this did sell for this $67. And look how cool that is. That's so cool. So the little boys that wanted the Polly Pockets, even though it's fine if they want the Polly Pockets, but if they wanted a boy version, here it was, guys. And I don't even know, I didn't even see the little figure. Might not even have the little guy. There it is. There's the little guy right there. But yeah, $67 for that. And then here also in 1996, we have a vintage Bluebird 1996 Polly Pocket Bouncy Castle. And you can see the style changing. You can see how they look. This one looks different than our earlier ones. So this is when they started to try to kind of change it to save the sales. But this one sold for $245.50. And again, there's so many more valuable ones, guys. Just type in Polly Pocket on Terapeak on eBay. Or just type in Polly Pocket on eBay in general and just check them out. There's tons. So now we're going to go a little later on. So this is when we got into the fashion Polly. And I sold some of these in lots. And let me just vent, or just let me, I'm just going to be totally honest. I hated them. I hated working with these. I hated the rubbery clothes. Maybe if I was a kid with these, I would have liked them, but I hated them right now. I liked the vintage ones, but lots of people remember these and love these still from their childhood. They just don't hold the value that the early ones did. And you can see this is just a big lot of all the different dolls in a big pile of clothing and probably some shoes, etc. Bags, all different sorts of accessories. You can tell some of these are ripped. That's why I didn't like the rubbery clothing. They just fell apart. They were just not, I didn't love it. I had so many I had to throw away because they just like disintegrated. But this big lot sold for $80. So that kind of shows that there's not as much value in these, but there's still some. This isn't a hard lot to make. And then here is vintage 2000 Polly Pocket Petland Hacienda Ranch, and it is complete. And this one did sell for a best offer of $100, and I love it. I love the animals. Apparently the animals weren't super popular, so they weren't produced a lot, but they're so cute. Ugh. Gotta look in. Oh, there's little piggies. Oh gosh. Oh, this is adorable. And you can see the figures are bigger there, so not quite like our last ones. So as we started to go to the difference, the previous lots are after this 2000. And then here is 2003 Mattel Polly Pocket 196 piece lot. And this is figures, clothing, there's trucks, there's car, you know, there's all sorts of different things they made in the fashion Polly Pocket line. This lot sold for, I think, 50 bucks. So it's okay, but it is just not as much as the vintage ones. We're getting close, guys. I know this is a very long video, probably one of my longest it's going to be. And this is a Polly Pocket Polyworld Amusement Park vintage playset, and it's a ride, and it has 8 dolls and it works, and this did sell for the $50. And so this isn't, you know, as old a one, but you can see the little dolls here, and 50 isn't bad for that guy. Here's a more modern one. 2007 Mattel Polly Pocket Race to the Mall car racing set, complete and working. You can see that it comes with the box, but here it is all set up and has all the different little toys and pieces to it. And that one did sell for the 60 bucks, which isn't bad. And then here's another playset, Polly Pocket So Hip Cruise Ship large playset with 7 dolls. We can see again here the larger dolls. And this did sell for the $50, and it's not a bad price, but it is a large piece probably to pack. But still, a lot of people probably had these little play sets. And then here is the complete Polly Pocket Party Time Surprise 30th Anniversary. So in 2018, when they relaunched, they really started to make Polly Pocket back to its roots. So here is an example of that. So this one released in 2018 looks much like the Polly Pockets that came from the 80s, late 80s and 90s. And so the same compact style and the same little figures. And then I think this one sold for best offer 25, but these tend to go in the 25 to 35, 40 range, roughly in a used condition. But you can see that they really tried to go back to what Polly Pocket was really known for. And then this is just the last one. This is another example of the compacts. And this is just Polly Pocket Compact Playsets Mini Dolls figure. And this is from 2018 to 2020. And you can tell they're not the same. They're not the same as the early Polly Pockets, but they're definitely doing a throwback to them. But the dolls are still a little bit bigger. So they wanted to reboot the previous, but they wanted it a little bit bigger. And you can see there's different play sets, so there's lots of variety, but this one sold for $36.79. So again, not as much value as your vintage ones. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, super long, and I hope to do more toy videos. If you have any ideas of toy videos, maybe from your childhood that you'd like to see, you can always throw those in the comments. But again, remember to tell me if you were a Polly Pocket lover and which version you had when you were a kid. And thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on the next one. Also, please do like this video. It helps me with YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because I'm very close, well, close in my mind to the 1,000 subscribers. So if you could get me there, that would be amazing. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video.